Today, my guest is actor and filmmaker Alex Karpovsky. Alex has acted in a number of films, including Tiny Furniture, Beeswax, Lovers of Hate, Codependent Lesbian Space Alien Seek Same, and the new Supporting Characters, currently at this season's Tribeca Film Festival. He's also directed a number of movies, including Woodpecker, Trust Us, This Is All Made Up, The Whole Story, and also making its debut in this Tribeca Film Festival season, Rubberneck, which he also wrote and acted in. If that weren't enough, Alex also has a supporting character role in the new Lena Dunham HBO series Girls. Alex was one of Filmwax Radio's earliest guests, and for that I am eternally grateful. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad to have him back. I was a big supporter of his work and happy to welcome him back to Filmwax Radio.
It's lovely to see you.
Thank you. So I watched your new film, Rubberneck, last night, actually, and totally caught me off guard. I guess I hadn't done any kind of reconnaissance about it, but I was really thrown off guard a bit. Like it's you in a very, very different, coming from a very different place, both as a filmmaker as well as an actor. And so that I think is going to be a kind of a big deal for you, or at least for people that are kind of know what an Alex Karpovsky movie is or is kind of becoming, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think the movie will be surprising for the 17 people who are familiar with my work who see it.
Come on. Okay.
It's not. I don't think it'll be that disorienting.
Please, no self-denigration. That's my job.
Okay. Well, I call it accuracy. You can call it what you want.
Okay.
I did want to try and do something different. All the stuff that I've done before basically has been comedies or about comedians or comedic improvisers. So I definitely. I've been obsessed with thrillers. It's my favorite genre as a viewer, is thrillers. I love watching them. And have always fantasized about making one. And then, the opportunity came together up in Boston to make it with a guy named Garth Donovan, who's a filmmaker up in Boston. And we gave it a swing, and it was really, really fun to work on.
Mm-hmm. Now, I said you wrote and acted in it. Did you work with anyone on the script, that process, or is it?
I co-wrote it with Garth Donovan.
Okay, you did, right.
I directed the movie, and Garth Donovan produced it. But we kind of did most of the stuff together from the get-go.
Okay, all right. And it says right from the start that it's based on a true story. Did you grapple with even putting that in the film? I'm just actually curious.
We grappled with it only to the extent that it's very loosely based on it. So, and that's a very sort of gray, amorphous, subjective thing. Right. So there's always room for grapple when you deal with such things.
I was wondering if you were maybe even playing on that, like, because there is such a type of it's torn from today's headlines type of film. But and did this incident take place? I know you're from Boston, right?
Yeah.
And did this incident, the original incident that this is loosely based on, take place there?
It did, yeah. It happened to a friend of ours. Okay. And but the workplace environment is something we definitely took liberties with. We took liberties with everything except the basic premise of workplace obsession, unreciprocated desire, basically borrowing on the notion that it's one thing to have a one-night stand, you're obsessed with a girl, she's not into you, and that's it, because I think that gives you an opportunity to move on. If you work with the person and you see her every day, the wound is cut and opened fresh every morning. And that's much more difficult to deal with, and that becomes Chinese water torture. And if that happens with a foundation of issues and childhood traumas, perhaps that you're negotiating with as well, it makes for a very unsavory possibility.
Yeah,
and that's what the film kind of plunges into.
And so all the sort of planets sort of were aligning in the wrong way for this guy, right, with his childhood trauma, and then this happening. So he's just sort of a victim of sort of, or unfortunate circumstances.
Exactly.
And did you base how did you arrive at the character?
Well,
because he's very different, like look. Also, you obviously intentionally want to go a very different way.
Yeah, I did. I didn't want sort of a quote unquote mumblecore Alex to kind of be felt in any way, emotionally or physically, when people saw the movie. Again, I think it's going to be 17 people who even that registers for. But in my mind, it registered, and for the people that were important to me, who I wanted to show the movie to, it might register. So we definitely wanted to do something different physically, and just in terms of his whole backstory, the way he carries himself. One thing that was really important for me and Garth from the beginning, one thing that was sort of a movie we tried to make was a movie that was very subtle, muted, implicit, slow-burning, character-driven. And we felt setting or exploring those things in a scientific laboratory felt correct just because of the nature of many scientists. My dad is a scientist. I grew up with a lot of scientists at dinner parties that we'd have at our house and so on. And they tend to be, I'm generalizing, but they tend to be an introverted, reflective, meditative bunch. So exploring the way we wanted to make the movie in a scientific context just made sense. And then once we kind of settled on that decision, it was kind of fleshing out how a scientist might live, where he might live, how he might function. Does he bike to work, or does he, take mass transit? Does he eat salad, or does he eat cheeseburgers for lunch? Those type of things kind of came after we kind of figured out where we're setting the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely seemed very authentic to my having spent some time in Boston. Also, I felt like this was really, and felt like it was from that place. The whole biking culture too. It seems to be really is a part of that, and the science circle, or the just that whole technology.
Yeah.
Right. This huge technology area.
Yeah, there are these sort of I don't know if you want to call it a subculture, a demographic perhaps is more accurate, of these sort of scientists and some academics who live in Somerville and Cambridge, who bike to work, who wear a bike helmet and a backpack.
And their lunch.
And their lunch,
they
exactly.
Brown bag their lunch.
I'm sure this happens in every city in America. I'm in Boston. I grew up in Boston. It's something that was very familiar to me. Yeah. And something I felt somewhat comfortable exploring.
So also from the casting standpoint, I noticed no recognizable faces, which also might be in the Alex Karpovsky film, and so it's also, I don't know if the casting was local or if it was sort of mainstream casting types of choices, but it was clearly another sort of dimension to the being outside of the comfort zone. You weren't surrounded by friends.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I know, maybe you were.
No. I most of the people, except one person, I didn't know any of the actors before we worked on this project. And yes, I think you kind of hinted at it a moment ago. I definitely wanted to do something very different, not just tonally and genre-wise, but also just like, I didn't want to work with people I knew before. I didn't want to sort of have any of those associations in play. So we did casting all up in Boston. We kind of frustrated for a while. We didn't really find what we wanted. We didn't know if we'd have to kind of ship people in from New York. But finally, we kind of tapped a vein through the Boston theater community. We found a lot of really talented Boston-based theater folks, and I don't know, 80-90% of our cast members came through that. Yeah.
Shifting gears a little, talk about also supporting characters and how that came about.
Supporting Characters is a movie directed by Daniel Schechter. It's premiering the same day as Rubberneck. Could I mention dates, or does it sound dated?
Sure. No, you can do that.
It's 4/20, which I think is Marijuana Day. I think it's also Earth Day. It might be Hitler's birthday.
Earth Day, April 20th?
Yeah. Busy day. A lot going on.
So 2 premieres?
Rubberneck and Supporting Characters are both playing.
But not simultaneously. They wouldn't do that.
No, they wouldn't do that. They're staggered through the evening.
That's good. So you can sort of do the bike thing in between.
Exactly. Eat my little salad in my Tupperware container.
Yeah.
Supporting Characters is a movie that Daniel Schechter made. I think it's really funny. It basically explores the world of these two editors who are working on a film that is not working in many ways, whilst juggling a lot of personal stuff happening in their lives. It's really funny, it's really moving, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's I think a big reference, I don't know if that's the perfect word, a big inspiration for Daniel Schechter in making supporting characters was an early Albert Brooks film called Modern Romance. And I didn't know the movie until Dan said, go watch it.
Oh, really?
And it blew me away. And I think it's a nice sort of modern update
Mm-hmm. I have to think about it. I haven't seen
definitely
that
not.
in many years, but it was that was modern. But that was the one where he starts off like he's just broken up with a girlfriend, right? Albert Brooks, and he's like going through this kind of the grieving and process, right?
Yes.
And then the rest is about him trying to win her back and humiliating himself like throughout.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. And whilst working as a film editor on a film that's not doing so well.
Oh, good. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Very good. It's time to maybe revisit that.
It's a great film.
Yeah, they all stand up, I assume. But,
They do.
At least especially those early films.
I mean, you have to remind yourself that this was made in the 70s or whatever, because so much of the movie takes place on the telephone and the sort of drama of missing your phone calls and stuff like that, dramas we don't negotiate with anymore.
True, right. It gives it, I guess, this nostalgic charm to it.
Yeah.
And that you're the director of that film. That film within the film, rather, is played by Kevin Corrigan.
I'm not. Wait.
I'm sorry, supporting characters.
In supporting characters,
yes,
yeah.
Right.
I play an editor, right, and the director within. I forgot what the movie is called within the movie. I don't even know if it has a name.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
I'm not sure.
But yes, Kevin Corrigan plays the director, and he does something very different than I've seen him do before. It's very subtle and strange and totally engaging.
It is.
I loved his performance in that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and he, for instance, would have been probably not the right casting choice in Rubberneck for you, like, just because of getting out of that, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that he's like almost like an archetype of independent film character actors.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're talking to Alex Karpovsky here at Filmwax Radio. The film is his new directed film feature having its premiere at Tribeca Film Festival, right? This is the world premiere?
It's the world premiere.
Of Rubberneck, which is a thriller, suspense. Well, it's more of a thriller. I wouldn't say it's quite the suspense thriller.
It's not a suspense thriller.
No.
Psychological thriller?
Psychological thriller.
Psychosexual thriller.
Well done. And we'll be back in just a moment. And we're back with Alex Karpovsky, who is not only has a new film that he's directed, which is called Rubberneck, but he's also starring in another film. And they're both premiering at Tribeca Film Festival any day now here, this 2012 edition of Tribeca Film Festival. And I was fortunate to get a sneak preview of another film that I guess you're still doing kind of post-production work on called Red Flag.
Yeah.
Can you talk about it?
Sure.
Because that was...
You're going to turn this to me.
Sure.
You know why? Because I'm a control freak.
Yeah, I love it. I've just been directed by...
I just turned the microphone so that people at home know what just happened.
The microphone.
The microphone is facing the wrong way.
But yeah, I thought that was kind of getting back to more in the traditional Karpovsky
comfort zone.
But also just really funny. Really, you're strong. I thought until that point, because I saw that before Rubberneck, your strongest film.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Red Flag is a movie that we're basically done with, and it's a comedy. It's my most masturbatory work as of yet, because it basically follows me. It's a movie that follows me on tour with another movie that I really did.
That really was another dimension of masturbation.
Yeah, meta-masturbation. A deeply solipsistic work. So I love it. And it is sort of closer in the vein of stuff that I've done in the past, and I guess it's a comedy, and I act in it and kind of play a variation of myself. A movie that was a big sort of inspiration for that project was the tour. Actually, I didn't see the movie. I just saw the shows. It's a British show with Steve Coogan and the other dude whose name I can't remember now. Rob.
Yes, Rob. It'll come in a second. But yeah, Bryden.
Bryden, that's right.
Who does the Man in the Box? I'm stuck in a box. It's uncanny, that impression, or whatever you want to call it.
A lot of their impressions are uncanny, yeah.
Well, they do a lot of impressions, but go ahead. So
the trip. I saw the YouTube series. I saw the series on YouTube. I didn't see the movie. And it was fun. I really enjoyed it, and wanted to make a movie. We had this Woodpecker tour coming up, so I just thought we'll make a narrative events encompassing this real life tour that we're actually going on, And I'm very, I'm happy with the way the movie turned out. People seem to dig it.
Yeah, and it has in supporting roles, you have Jennifer Prediger.
Well, yeah, I would say even a lead role. Jennifer has a...
That's true, yeah.
Jennifer's a lead role, and Orner Tukel, who's the writer, director, and actor in Richard's Wedding, which has a phenomenal supporting cast as well, including Adam Shartoff. And actually another crossover from that movie is Dustin DeFay.
Oh, right, yes, thank you, yeah.
Who plays Taco in Richard's Wedding and plays Clay in my movie, Red Flag, and he's phenomenal. He hits it out of the park. He's so good. I really loved his movie, Bad Fever and Family Nightmare. I didn't know he could act. I didn't know he can do all this magical stuff that he does. Yeah,
kind of like that dry.
It's so dry, it's so subtle, and it's so damn funny. So I was very lucky to kind of weave him.
Yeah, he's going to be in my film.
Is he?
Well, I haven't written one yet, but I mean, I'm just sort of putting it out there.
I mean, I think just having him in mind will help the writing process. Everyone should put him in his film. He's great.
Do I get a associate or assistant DP credit in that? Because
I have to. I was kind of meaning to tell you this. We're not going to use that shot in the movie.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
What happened?
Adam was kind enough. I actually probably shouldn't tell people this, but you helped me orchestrate a scene in the movie, which we won't talk about in detail. And you shot an element of that scene, but we didn't use that shot. So I'm sorry.
I see. That's what I'm on the cutting room floor. That does.
You're in great company on the floor. I mean, some real all-stars on the floor with you.
I hear you. Coincidentally, this is probably not going to be much very exciting for people listening, but it just so happens we were there sitting with Dustin, who
that's true.
The very same Dustin.
That's true.
Who was just happened to be standing outside waiting for a ticket to that movie, in which.
Yeah, we snuck him in. We did the old give me your receipt. Go outside, give him the receipt. Which we probably shouldn't.
That's a show unto itself because I was unfamiliar with that particular scam.
Oh,
but that's great.
That was one of the central pillars supporting my childhood. That scam.
Could that work for theater too?
I don't know.
It's not open.
A lot of theaters I've noticed now do a scan system, like high-end theater.
Right.
So they really screw you with the scan.
Yeah.
Well, they can screw you with the scan.
So real quick, I know that we're going to wind down soon, but you're also in a number of other films in small roles, one being Gaby, directed by Jonathan Lasecki, which is a really fun comedy. And you're in one scene, pretty memorable scene, though, where you're on a date with the lead actress in that.
Right.
A heterosexual woman who has agreed to have a baby with her best friend, who is a gay man. But she goes out on a date with you, and you learn of this news. and probably cut the date as short as any date on record.
Well, he had a lot to do that night, and this was a waste of time.
Yeah.
And he made that known.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had an agenda. Yeah.
Yeah. And codependence, lesbian space alien seek same. How'd that come about? Just curious. How you?
Madeline Olnick, who's the writer director of the movie, is someone I've just loved her movies. This is her debut feature, but I loved her short films. Hold Up Countertransference, I think it's called, another one. And she just has this really awesome comedic sensibility. So she asked me to be in the movie, and of course I said yes.
So you have quite a bit coming up. How would people find out about where they might see some of these films?
Well, you can go to my IMDb page. I guess it's all probably neatly listed in a very accessible way there. Movies that I'm really excited about that are coming out are Marvin, Seth, and Stanley, which is a movie we made in Minnesota, shot in 16mm, looks gorgeous. It's coming out soon. You mentioned Gaby, that's coming out soon, I hope. Sleepwalk with Me, which is a movie directed by Mike Birbiglia, produced by Ira Glass. I have a small role in that. That's a really great movie. I'm very proud of that. Pollywogs is coming out soon, I think. Almost in Love is coming to the Rerun Theater, I think, over the summer with Alan Cumming. That's a really fun movie, shot in 2 45-minute takes. So a very theatrical approach to cinema, which is really fun. So yeah, I'm excited about all that stuff. And hopefully Red Flag will be coming out soon as well.
Well, thanks a lot.
It was a pleasure.
We'll try to get those folks out to check out Rubberdeck and supporting characters at this year's Tribeca Film Festival. So we'll have you back on again soon.
I look forward to it.
All right, great, thank you. Alex Karpovsky.